Why do you keep lumping me into your vitriol?
What is a vitriol?
Anger speech, like your hate and rage. You keep saying we hate this, and I'm like, hate is a harsh word for how I feel about things. You keep saying we hate it when, and I think you're doing it because you don't want to sound like a bitter, angry fuck. But so you say, yeah, Becca.
It's
like,
more power when it's we.
It's like a tag on. Yeah, but check with me before you put me on the record on shit, because I don't hate. The last few times you've said it, it took me a second to realize I don't hate what you're talking about. I might get frustrated with certain things, or I might be maybe not all in on something and think maybe we don't need to do that. But I wouldn't go, I hate that. Hate is a word you use. I don't use the word hate very often.
It's an over-exaggeration.
Yes, but when you're talking to our guests who have never spoken to us really before, and you use the word "we hate," it makes me feel like I'm just being thrown into this like.
This is coming from the guy that says "fuck you" to our guests.
Well, that's sarcasm. I don't mean "fuck you." It's sarcasm. Fuck you.
So they don't get that I'm saying that I'm exaggerating when I say we hate.
No, because you're not exaggerating. You're just like, yeah, we hate that.
I will change it to we don't like.
Change it to I hate that. That's fine.
You
got to go on the record.
I'll preface every statement by saying I don't know about Mike, but
that's perfect. Yes, that's perfect. You want to know why? Because it doesn't put words into my mouth.
I want to talk about the show called Pen 15 on Netflix. I just started watching it.
Can we do that off mic when we're done doing our...
No, because... Well, you may not... Okay. It says Pen 15, one word. So it's not two words. The 15 is squished in with the...
I know what one word means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I realized... It took me a little bit, but I realized that it's code for penis. So I've been watching the penis show.
I was sitting here going, "Pen is? What is pen is? Pen is what? Pen is all powerful? Pen is sharper, mightier than the sword? Like pen is?" And you're like, "It's penis."
Yes.
Yes.
So I watched an entire season of penis.
And you hate penises.
I hate
when they show up at things. You're like, no, you'd rather watch a dog die.
They tricked me into watching penis.
You'd rather watch a dog die than penis.
Yeah. Actually, that is true.
And you hate watching dog die. But it is funnier to hear you complain about penis. They tricked me into watching a whole show about penis.
Well, it's not about penis. It's just me. It is the penis show. But it's not about... It's about two girls in middle school. Yeah, see?
Does one of them
now you have to check it out,
Does
right?
one of them have a penis? Hello, penis listeners. This is Michael Beckmeyer.
Hello, penis lickers. That's what you almost said.
Hello, penis listeners. Okay, everybody, quiet on the set.
Film Reverie broadcast take 72.
And action. Hello, Film Reverie listeners. This is Michael Beckmeyer, and as usual, I have the balding Ewok with me. The crank. I'm changing your name to the Cranky Balding Ewok at Cranky Balding Ewok.
That's too many words. It should be the Cranky Ewok. But it's too late now.
That's even funnier.
Well, I'll have to see if it's available.
No, Balding Ewok. You can't change. You can't change your name. You're the Balding Ewok. Yeah, you're the Balding Ewok.
That's what I am.
Just like I'm Beckmeyer, you can't change that.
Yeah.
Anyway, today our guest is the world famous Kickstarter guy. That's like, yeah,
Take it.
Justin Giddings. Justin Giddings, who is a filmmaker and a crowdfunding consultant. Is that how you kind of?
Yeah, coach, consultant, guru, master, magician, wizard.
Yeah, there you go. And he does it all based on like for free with like donations. Like he doesn't even ask to be paid for it. That was a joke. That was
totally
just the kindness of your own heart. Yeah. So
I get paid in exposure.
Yeah, exposure. Yeah, it's good exposure for you. You get an IMDb credit. Yeah, you get an IMDb credit. So no, but I saw your. We'll talk about like how you became a filmmaker and all that stuff in a second. But I saw your ad. It may have been a year ago on Kickstarter.
It's been a while. I haven't ran them for a while. Yeah.
On Facebook, and I think we were maybe gearing up for our premiere. So our show had been on hiatus for like a couple of years while we were making our film. There's only so much time in the day, and I have like a 15-year-old daughter and a Brad and an actual job. And then there's Brad. He counts as like two things on the list.
Right. There's two. Right. He's two bullet points.
And but you were on the list of people that I definitely wanted to follow up with. So your ad got my attention because you just made it sound so easy. It's like, I just do this thing where I help people like raise money on crowdfunding, and like, why are you guys making such a big deal out of it? You weren't smug in any way. I'm just saying, I'm listening to it and going, why does he make it sound like it's no problem? It's so hard.
Yeah, there's a simplicity in it. It is tough. I know we're going to break all this down, but I think a lot of people are intimidated by it, and they're often intimidated by the wrong pieces.
Yeah.
So we can break those down.
But you're a filmmaker.
Yep.
Yeah. How long? What got you into making movies? You got into the crowdfunding thing as a filmmaker, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah. So I was an actor even as a kid, and grew up in that space, and went to school for acting, went to conservatory, all that jazz, moved out to LA. And even having, when I was in acting school, or even in LA, a lot of people would tell me, like, there's kind of this ladder, right? You get your co-stars, then you get your guest stars, and you get your series regulars, and there's like this path. And in my naivete, I was like, great. But every time I thought I was climbing that ladder, no, nobody really, I'd get the commercials, I'd get the series regular gig. And I was always waiting for people to give me permission to kind of move up.
Yeah.
So I was on this big web series that got turned into a cable show and then got canceled. And I thought, you know what, I'm done with this. I gotta be a bit more in control of the stories I want to tell. Mm-hmm. So this was 2014. And I got behind the camera, wrote 2 shorts with one of my co-stars, who was also like a playwright and stuff. So we ended up putting these things together and directing them, and they did well. And then we also crowdfunded for both of these projects about $100,000. And so that's where my life kind of diverged into this.
Each or $100,000 combined? Okay. Oh, because $50,000 sounds a lot easier than $100,000. Like, it's got crazy there for a second.
Yeah, no, it was, and the cool thing was, like, it gave us enough to be able to make mistakes. As actors, we understood story, I think, and we understood character, but I had never ran a set. I mean, I knew production well, but I didn't know pre and post, and so it was a big learning experience. But that's kind of where my life diverged then. I mean, I still do some acting and all that jazz, but I describe my career as I do enough to get insurance from the union, but nobody knows who I am. So that's the acting career. But filmmaking is sort of what I spend most of my day doing, and crowdfunding.
Nice. That's awesome. So what was the last thing you were in? And if you don't want to talk about it,
that's fine. I can't remember if it was No, it was. I did Shameless, and then I did Nashville. I did the series finale of Nashville.
Like a legit actor, not like the actors that you know, Brad.
I know the same ones you do.
No, we know legit actors, but we don't know like people who were in the Nashville
I'm
series.
I'm an actor.
Finale.
Are you saying I'm not legit? I've been in
two
films now, several short films.
If you mean you like to play pretend, yes, you're an actor. If you mean
you mean like I pretend that we're friends?
Hold on, like I pretend you're friends. However, you said I've been in 2 films. You mean, and one of them was ours.
Yeah,
it's still sitting on our
counts.
computer. It doesn't really fucking count.
It'll be on Amazon eventually.
All right, so that's awesome. So, which part do you like? What drew you to the filmmaking side? Was what sunk its like what? Gave you the bug?
Yeah.
Like, was it having creative control, or did you like the community of like working with a group of people?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I've never really had that specifically asked. I it's sort of ephemeral and hard to describe.
Yeah.
I've always been a storyteller. My therapist and I can sit you guys down and really talk about where this all came from. But I grew up reading fantasy books, and I've always had just kind of this. My imagination is my sort of safe space. And as an actor, you're kind of saying somebody else's stuff, and it's super fun and can be hugely thrilling and fulfilling. But when I actually saw my own words happen, and I was directing that energy and trying to, and building those things, it's godlike to create. And I was like, well, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, the God thing really convinced you. It's like, I like playing God. No, I've always said that if, for those people that believe in God, it's sort of like, well, God created us in his image, so that means we need to create. We need to be creative. Like, that goes like procreation, but also like building fictitious worlds. I mean, you could argue that the world is our world is a fictitious world. It's like, the whole like computer simulation thing. You just never really know what's going on, but it's like create something.
Yeah, I sort of have a since we're going there, this sort of philosophical belief of we artists are sort of the shamans for the tribe that is our culture and our humanity. And on the micro level, shamans were like, hey, we got to go, the tribes were like, hey, we got to go hunt, we got to go gather, we got to like make sure everybody lives and all that kind of stuff. Your job is to help us transcend the daily thing. Yeah. And so I really do take the role and responsibility of artists and filmmakers very, very seriously, and sort of view it as a non-denominational spiritual calling to help humanity transcend. For that's our job, is we can all sit in a room together and we can all feel something that we may not be allowed to or have access to on our daily basis.
My favorite version of what you just said, and that I've gotten from doing our podcast, somebody that was on our show said to us, artists are the foot soldiers of humanity. We're like out there in the front hands, like we're just saying, look, we are the people, like creative people are the people who are out there going, look, human beings, that like this is what it's like to be a human being. Like that's what we're here for. Don't really want to go fight a war or anything like, but we will fight the war of human suffering.
The war of the mind.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
Because we're trying to manipulate people. I mean,
when you say it like that, it sounds pretty bad.
Right, but in other words, we're trying to create an emotional response. So we're manipulating emotions through imagery and the written word.
Yeah, I teach high school TV production. That's what I'm always telling them. Your job is to manipulate people so that they'll put their phone down and start paying attention to the thing. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, so the Kickstarter guy.
Yeah.
So I will give you my own, maybe this is therapy session with Kickstarter Guy. Our last 2 episodes have been sort of like therapy sessions, and I feel one coming on again with you. You're just like rubbing your hands together.
We'll try not to dump too much on you.
So I actually, I'll get to it in a second. So I've run 2 successful campaigns. One was a very easy one. I think I tried to raise like $500 or $600. Just dipping my toe in the water and see, does this thing work? I doubled that, of course, in like 11 days, which actually I know now that that's really not that hard to do, like raising $1,000. It wasn't for me anyway. It got harder, of course, trying to raise 12, which I did the next time with a friend of mine, and we shot past that. We raised about $16,000.
But you had someone who already had a big following, email list, and all that. The
producing partner that I had in that was she had a big group. Had a big group of people that were like she had done a lot of favors for, and they just kind of I won't say threw money at us, but they made sure we hit our goal and surpassed it.
Sweet.
And then I produced that film where we paid people, we paid actors, we got a house on a hill for a week, and we all lived there, and we shot our movie, and we had this like film commune, and I was like, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
This is the only way I ever want to do it again. And so since then I've run 2 or 3 other campaigns that we have struggled to succeed at. And you look around and you see so many people trying it, and I'm a filmmaker. A lot of my online friends are filmmakers, so a lot of people I know are people that are trying to do the same thing I'm doing. So it's borrowing from Peter to pay Paul sort of thing, and we can't. There's only so much I can do to help Brad make his movie, and there's only so much Brad can do to help me make my movie, because we're both trying to make movies, sort of thing.
So basically, our target audience, for the most part, was people in our situation who are trying to raise money for their own thing. So we kind of...
Right. So we outgrew our small community of people who are just happy to see us trying to make a movie. You know what I mean? We had to get out of that. And I can tell you, the one where this was 4 or 5, maybe 5 years ago, impasse. So 5 years ago, I did the thing where you email everybody. I don't know, I think Seed and Spark says 15 to 20 new emails a day, I think is what it suggests.
Yeah.
I was doing that, and it worked. We were,
But you were doing it email by email.
Right, well, I was sending personal emails to people.
Yeah, you weren't using MailChimp.
I was sending personal emails to people in my contacts list. That worked. That worked that time. Yeah. The next time, we did the same thing, and it didn't work. I started getting the stuff I'm sure you've heard where people say, look, I helped you last time, but it doesn't mean I want to help you every single time you go off and do something, blah, blah, blah. And so you start to get, the not angry responses, but, dude, are you going to email me every year for something? Right. Yeah, And so then when it came time to make our feature film, I'm like, fuck it, I'm not doing another crowdfund. I'm not doing it. And then we got into post and realized, well, making a movie is expensive. So we literally pulled the production out of called in every favor we had. I have students who have now graduated who came and helped us on set and location and stuff like that. And it worked. We were able to do it. It would have been nice to have some budget so that we could have paid people and, insurance, all that stuff. Right. And then we got into post and realized,
we only had the one computer. So I had to kidnap your computer for 3 months.
Yeah. Well, there's that, but we just had stuff and we knew we were going to have to market it at some point, try to get it into festivals and blah blah blah, all that stuff that all about because you go through this every day. But even then, and I felt like we had a pretty good plan. We'd gone through Seed and Spark that time, and we had been, assisted and guided through the process. You might want to try this, might want to try that, and I couldn't get any traction. So, I'm sure you hear this every day, right? Yeah, he's looking at us like you're saying. He's like, you're not saying anything new, Becca Meyer. Yeah. You think you're this unique snowflake, but 1,000 people have told me this boring story.
I also feel like I know what he's going to say, and it's going to be the same thing we already knew.
So I know that you do this every day. So what have you found? What's your magic trick?
There's so much to unpack in what you just said.
And you can,
Yeah, I think where I would start is that the scope of what has to happen for campaigns to work is far beyond what most people have an understanding and an awareness about. Yeah. And once that's in play, though, it's not necessarily so much that it becomes easier, but kind of classic thing. If you kind of know the challenge, if you really kind of know the details of the challenge in front of you, at least at a most basic level, then you can start building a plan to go around it. So obviously, breaking down your specific campaign, what your email said or didn't say, there's a lot of factors that can go into that. But just kind of broadly speaking, crowdfunding is really a marketing numbers game.
Yes.
And most people don't even know to even think about that beforehand. Seed and Spark does, so that was kind of good. But sometimes just knowing the scope of the numbers is kind of a good place to start. So how much were you guys trying to raise, by the way?
8,000 for this. May have been 6. I can't remember now. It was 6 or 8. We really just wanted for it because we were posting it ourselves. We didn't need money to pay an editor or anything like that. We just maybe wanted to soup up the computer a little bit. I was really trying to figure out how we were going to pay to marketing materials, film festivals, submissions, and stuff like that. Just stuff like that.
Gotcha. So
it was like a post production thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so most of my people raise 5 to 10 day one, week one. So there was we could totally do a case study in that sense, but I think the reason why is because of the scope. So let's do some numbers. So my average campaign is about 40K. Actually, I'm going to do 50K because it makes the math easy, and I suck at math, and don't we all, right? It's not just me.
It's not just you. It really isn't just you, and I'm not just saying that to be nice. I almost didn't graduate high school because of algebra. So
I got a perfect SAT score on the language part and practically failed the math part. It's useless.
And that's how we figured out you were going to be an actor.
Exactly.
Yes.
I have no picture.
Is this a common thread with filmmakers? Yeah. Because, like, ninth grade is my high, I took GED and was out of there.
Yeah, Brad didn't even finish high school.
I academically peaked in middle school. So, yes, okay, so let's take a 50K campaign. For a lot of people, $50,000 would be a movie of some kind, or a good finishing budget, that kind of thing. So it's a significant raise. Actually, you know what? Everyone ignore the last 3 seconds. Let's do 20K because this is kind of the beginning level. I feel like if you're going to do a crowdfunding campaign, you should at least go for 20K. And then people can scale up the numbers in their head. So let's say you want to raise $20,000. The average backer amount on a crowdfunding campaign for film is roughly $50 to $100. I will use 50 because, again, I like to be conservative anyway. And then happy surprises. Everyone gave us double the money. Yay. But so $50. So that means you would need 400 backers at $50 to raise $20,000. So the number that I'll start with the number part, right? So the number that is really kind of the kicker is that you can only expect about 5% of the people who come to your crowdfunding campaign page, your Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Seed&Spark, to actually. By the
way, I think it's even less than that. In our experience, it's more like
you trust the expert.
2%. I mean,
and I was going to say, and you only get that 5% if everything on the page is awesome. If your concept is pretty good, at least well delivered, your perks are cool, your page is well designed, it has graphics, your video's good, and so. The level of excellence has to be there. And this is what, when you do research online, a lot of it is, how do you have good perks? How do you have good rewards? How do you have a good video and so forth? All of that is what gets you to, at best, for most people, a 5% conversion rate, as we call it. So that means for 400 people, you need 8,000 people to come to your crowdfunding page. So we're already outside of friends and family.
Oh, way.
Yeah.
I don't have that many people I like, personally.
We're already out. And I don't want to mislead anybody. Friends and family, for most people who are crowdfunding, that is their initial, I call it a social echo chamber. Yeah. They're going to be a good chunk of your backers, and they're going to be a good chunk of the word getting out there. But the numbers are what they are, and so even though they're going to end up being a large percentage of the people who decide to be part of that 5% converted margin, you still have to get 8,000 hits to your page in some way. And those are the people who clicked on the link, right? So think about the last time you got some sort of blind carbon copy, hey friends, skip your coffee and give me $5, or some, we're desperate, we need your help. I call those whiny, we need your help, WNYA posts online, right? Saying, hey, we need your help, we need your help, we need your help. And every time you've seen a link for that, we call this a click-through rate, the percentage of people who see that link and actually click through. That's only again, if it's going well, 3 to 5%. Yeah. So now that 8,000 people who clicked on your link is really 160 to 200,000 times that link needs to be seen in 30 days, which is 8,000 times a day. Yeah. That's for a $20,000 campaign. That's for the campaigns that in my world are the low level sort of entry level campampings. If you're going to
we would have killed for $20,000 on this movie.
But But here's the thing,
or on any of my films, even the short films.
Here's the point that we're getting to, though, is I realized, based on what you're saying, that we needed a small amount of money to put into the advertising and stuff. So we needed money to raise the money, which I'm not sure if everyone gets that, but. Before we even thought about doing crowdfund, we should have raised a 30-day budget for
Brad's forgetting that I told him all this stuff and tried to talk him out of the crowdfunding campaign. And he was like, well, I'll do whatever.
I talked you into it.
And then he didn't realize how hard it was. And then I'm sitting there pulling my hair out and he's like, what are you so worried about? Fuck you, guy. This is hard shit. I'm losing sleep over here.
Yeah.
So, Brad, you bring up a good point, talking about the money thing. You're not wrong. It may not be as much as you think, but let me actually we're sort of going through the initial training I give to all of my clients, which is the 3 core components of a successful campaign. So the first core component we've talked about, which is understanding the numbers and having a marketing plan that's lined up with that. So listeners now know, wow, even at 200,000 or 20,000, I got to find 200,000 people. So that's the marketing plan. The second piece is how you do this. Get this kind of reach when you're not a famous person and you don't have thousands of dollars in ad money. And that's by having some sort of multiplier. So you kind of got 3 main multipliers. The first one is having some sort of major influencer or celebrity who's also willing to actively market the campaign. Mm-hmm. I did a campaign with William Shatner and Morena Baccarin, were the 2 stars, and they tweeted about it and all this kind of stuff. And they had a $300 first day because they didn't actually do the work of getting it out in front of people, and they weren't going to actively market it. Now, once my kind of clients, the producers who had actually hired me, were doing the work, they made money because those names totally mattered. But again, it doesn't matter until people are on the page, and so influencers are actively marketing the project. They actually don't tend to help very much. So for most people, it's the 2 that are left. One is having an ad budget, but you've kind of got 2 tiers of that. One is the guerrilla ad budget most people can maybe pull together, which is maybe a couple $100. Or you have several $1,000s. And again, most people can't do that. Otherwise, they wouldn't be crowdfunding.
Right.
Usually they're crowdfunding for
We're
that
talking
ad
about filmmakers here, yeah.
Right, filmmakers.
They never have any money.
And so then the last part is really the foundation of a lot of the reach and that my clients get, which is building up a team of people willing to help out on the campaign. And here's kind of an example of how this works. This is that organic social echo chamber. Let's say you guys post something on your Facebook page about the project. If you don't know, Facebook now has as little as 3 to 6% reach for a post. So you might only you have a couple thousand likes.
He's saying
3 to 6% reach.
Yeah, Facebook only has 3 to. The algorithm is like a 3 to 6% reach when you post something. That's if I just post a picture of my daughter, the tacos I had for lunch, or I'm trying to raise money for a crowdfund. It's like the same amount of people aren't going to see it, and these are people
usually
who
a couple
to
dozen.
Me.
Yeah, usually a couple dozen. Facebook, when crowdfunding first started and people got worried about that whole, I'm going to bug my friends, they're going to see my posts all day long. That was fair because that's how Facebook worked when crowdfunding started. It's not how Facebook works anymore. Just literally no one is seeing your stuff. My clients have a couple of like big Hail Mary things they do at the end of their campaign, and they'll get messages going, I had no idea that you were doing this thing.
We got it. We had that too, and people would say, man, if I'd known, because we basically ran sort of a guerrilla, not a guerrilla, but like a grassroots, hey, come to our movie premiere, because we were basically it was like a crowdfund, but the crowdfund was buy a ticket to our premiere.
Gotcha.
So for like 3 months, we basically send emails, blah blah blah, and about once a week we'd get online, and then
This is after the crowdfund. This is us just doing
a week or 2 leading up to our premiere. We went live on Facebook. We found out that Facebook was actually better to go for live stuff.
Yeah, going live. Yeah,
YouTube wasn't working. Instagram wasn't really working. I actually don't like Facebook, and I was like, fuck, we're gonna go use Facebook. So. Because of their thing, their algorithm it annoys me that if I'm trying to get something like, you follow my page, I click send, why don't you see my post? So anyway,
so
it took us weeks of getting on there live once or twice a day, and we still just barely got people there. So I mean, no.
Yeah, this is kind of a perfect example of this in play, but also how you can kind of hack this. So I'll give you guys, and In fact, I'll tell you, I'll wrap this kind of little piece of this up with like how you can get 50 to 100,000 views on a single post. So, hey, so the idea is this, right? You guys post something, maybe get seen by 100 people. Because Facebook's algorithm sucks. All these algorithms sucks because they all want you to either spend money or have so much organic engagement that these social media platforms go, oh, this post has so much social engagement that we know it's worth taking up the real estate on other people's timelines. Right? Okay.
Right.
So, because they want their users to keep coming back, so they're really weird and selective now about what gets shown, so that they can sell all your data to advertisers and whatnot.
Yeah, the Russians, whatever.
So, if you just do this post, get seen by 100 people. Let's say you had a team of people that I mentioned, right, and they all each posted a link to the campaign page. Well, they each would only get maybe 100 people seeing it.
Right.
But if you post it on your page and then those team members organically share it, you've now sort of triggered Facebook's happy algorithm. And now you can spend some money, but instead of spending – okay, so let's say you have a post, gets seen by 100 people, gets shared by 5 people. Maybe instead of getting seen now by 500, it gets seen by 2,000 or 3,000. Yeah. You could put $1 or $2 into that post to boost it, and it'll get seen by another 20, 30, 50%.
Right.
So now – by kind of knowing that Facebook's going to reward you spending money and reward you having organic engagement, essentially one of the things I train my clients is let's build up a team that can be the first round of organic engagement so that right out of the bat, most of your posts look cool to Facebook. And now Facebook's going to start putting them in front of people and doing what it does well.
So we have done some of that. Like,
we've done $5 or less.
We didn't really bring you on to consult us for free or anything, but I guess using our thing is like whatever. So we've done that before, and I've actually gone to again and fuck Facebook, because honestly, and I don't really feel that way because it is. Look, if it was a country, it would be the world's largest country. Like if it was Facebook, if it was a country, there are more people on Facebook than are. So it's a huge thing, but it's a struggle when you're just a filmmaker like we are. I just like writing and directing. I don't have a zest for marketing, but I know it has to be done. But I sort of I don't know, but you shun what you don't know, sort of a thing. Anyway, we've done the $1, $2, even up to $5.
Yeah,
on the $5. Post, right? I think even spent $20 once. It has never ever turned into anything.
Even a click. We didn't even get a click.
I never got a click
or a view
or a click through, and I've tried it on various different things. Things that looked like handheld cell phone video things, polished videos that we made, different things, just like posts that we have for our even Film Reverie or Movieisms, which is our other podcast, and our film or different various film projects. And it says, look, your post was seen by 1,000 more people, but it always feels like that didn't really, so what? Because it didn't ever turn into anything. And even when we did have people sharing it, maybe we didn't all share it at synchronize our watches and share it at the same time, but people would see our post and share it, and I had boosted that post at some point and blah blah blah.
We didn't have other people boosting the post.
It was just
that
us.
Is an interesting idea. That might be part of what makes it
They're
work.
sharing our post, which has been boosted.
Right, but I think he can correct me if I'm wrong. He was saying that everyone, have your team of people that everyone boosts it for $1 or so. I
don't think so, because they're not boosting. They didn't make the post.
They don't spend the money, but kind of also what you're speaking to is there's also sort of the long-term nature of, and this is why this is so hard to everybody listening, is because you catch these pieces of techniques and sometimes implementing them doesn't have the results, and there's oftentimes nobody there to go, okay, well, here's why. Now, again, I don't, my clients give me their admin access to the page so I can see the actual analytics, but common reasons why the thing that's happening is happening. One is that it's a one-off project, one-off post or something. In other words, there's not been this sort of culture of engagement on the page. So every once in a while, a thing comes out, and then you guys try to market it using these things that work and can't understand why Facebook doesn't care. Facebook doesn't care because they haven't cared. And so they don't trust and know you yet. So they don't give you any organic love. So this is why my clients, when they, one of the very first things they start with 2 to 3 months before they launch is we start doing their social media. So that by the time they actually get to the launch, they've already shown Facebook, I put out consistent content, put out content consistently. It's high quality, so on and so forth. Also, a lot of mistakes that people do is they think, okay, I have a trailer, and I'm going to post it and I'm going to boost it so that it can just get seen right away. Well, basically what you've done is given away the what is it? What is that thing? The cow milk analogy that they told me in high school to keep me.
Why would you give the milk away for free? What? He'll never buy the cow if you give the milk away for free.
Boom! That
it? Yeah.
So you've already kind of handed Facebook money and deflowered yourself, and Facebook's like, great. So I know where to get my booty call.
Brad, you should try that out sometime, Brad.
and they're not working for it. So, for example, one thing that I train is to look for outlier posts. If you're putting out content regularly, you'll start to understand and see a pattern of what people are responding to. You'll get a sense of reach. You'll get a sense of engagement. And every once in a while, and sometimes you won't even know why, there'll be a post that pops. It got 10 times as much reach or 20 comments and nothing else ever did. That's the one that you want to put the boosting in, because again, Facebook's already been like, yeah, we like this one. Then you give them money, and they've kind of worked for it. As a singular example. This is how, for example, we have a sci-fi that's about to come out one day. So many problems hit this behind the scenes, but it's called Outpost.
Like your own thing?
Yeah, our own sci-fi. Yeah. It's a short. It's been in production. It's done now. Just finished up its festival run. We're going to probably be releasing the next few months.
Awesome.
And the way we got 50,000 views on this trailer in like the first couple weeks, maybe, was just doing some of the stuff. We took the post, we pinned it to the top of the Facebook page. We did native video so that because Facebook loves native video. It hates links because you're leaving Facebook. Doesn't want you to leave Facebook. So it'll actively work against your links. If you want, I can tell you a little hack to get around that, because I'm sure you guys are posting links to your podcast and to your blogs. But Facebook hates links because they don't want you to leave. So we did native stuff, and then we had everybody share. We got the engagement machine going. Then we put in some, I think $25 worth of boosting over like 2-week period, and that just jump started the thing. And we this trailer got like 50,000 views, and we don't have any names or anything like that. And it's understanding that I know what Facebook's gonna like. I know how to work my man, and get him to do what I want him to do. I've never used this metaphor before, but I'm really liking it.
I dig it. You should write the book called whatever you said. Facebook. Why would you give the cow away why would Facebook buy the cow when you give the milk away for free?
For free.
By Justin Giddings.
Exactly.
So what it sounds like you're saying is, instead of spending $20 on one post, you could spend $1 a day for 20 days boosting the post, or $2 a day for 10 days, and you'll get more mileage out of that than one singular. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is how you don't know this because you weren't involved in the thing, but you do it over the course of like multiple days. You throw down like $5 and it's like a 2 or 3 day thing, or for a week, or it's not ever really for just one day. I guess you can say today, but I've never done that. No. So what are...
Some people do targeting too in their boosting, which I do not recommend.
Okay.
If you're going to do targeting, which is like, hey, show everybody who likes sci-fi, do an ad, go find somebody to learn from to tell you how to do an actual ad. If you're going to do boosting, I generally recommend boosting to people who like your page and their friends, which is one of the audience suggestions they give you. And also, when you do that, make sure you change the geographic location, because it defaults now to your local city. But by doing that, again, you reinforce the engagement from the people who've already given you the stamp of approval by giving you a like. And then it also gets shown in front of their friends, which generally speaking, you know, my friends on Facebook reflect my life. A bunch of crowdfunding people, a bunch of filmmaker people, and a bunch of entrepreneur people, because that's kind of my world, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, horror freaks who love horror things and go to horror films and hang out in horror groups, like their friends tend to like horror. So if you've got a horror and you're doing people who like the page and their friends, generally the birds are flocking together and you can just spray that buckshot.
So, like...
Did we derail him? Because I felt like he was going somewhere and then we're like, hey, wait a minute. Boosted Post didn't work for us.
Anybody derailed him, it was you, because you do the interrupting.
Yes, I'm a professional.
No, so like, I mean, and it's not all Facebook, so we could get off Facebook. But do you find that it's equal parts Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, email, or
what
is
about
it
like MailChimp with the email list? Isn't that a big important part?
Once somebody, yeah, well, I'll let him talk.
Yeah. So to kind of wrap up, that's core component number 2 is having a team, having a group of people who are basically your front line in the organic reach, your social echo chamber that can, so that if you are going to spend money or bring in other assets, you've already got that sort of foundation built. In terms of the best social media platforms, unfortunately, Facebook, at least statistically, still sort of reigns supreme. There have been outliers. Okay, actually, I'll say this. The real one is wherever your audience is at.
Yeah.
So I've had podcasters that have 0 Facebook presence, but he had a 50,000 a week listenership, I think, and he like raised $90K for his film and didn't even necessarily do a ton of the stuff that I had told him. He just did some of it, but he has a captive weekly audience of a great size.
Somebody that like, it's like those guys that like, I really just took out soda and lost 20 pounds. Up yours.
Yeah, I know.
I stopped drinking soda and lost 20 pounds. I didn't even really do anything.
I hate you. I drink so much water and I hate you.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. So, you know, it is kind of that. So if you've got the audience there, same thing. I had an Instagram influencer. She's an active, authentic person. She really does engage with her people every day. It was a real audience. And so she raised like $110K for a 6-page short, and it's going to be amazing. And she could do that. For the rest of us,
right.
Most of my clients are starting out from scratch, and so I generally recommend build up the Facebook page, and as well as their personal profile, and then Twitter. Those are the 2 big ones. Instagram for some people, but the problem with Instagram is you can't put links in the post.
That's annoying.
So you can have a lot of engagement, and any marketer will tell you the moment somebody's got to click more than once, you know, hey, go to my profile, then click on the link, then go to the page. Like you get, you know, someone's fall off in between.
That is actually why Instagram has stayed, I guess, in a way pure, because there's a point in time. I've been on Twitter for like almost 12 years. Maybe it's 11 or 12 years now. I had my 10-year mark a while back, and I loved Twitter. Twitter was great. Twitter used to work for things like this because it was a smaller community. But as soon as it became, I guess, highly clickable, it became where people go to dump their commercials for themselves and retweet things and they don't really engage. And I don't really engage there anymore like I used to, because I got so frustrated with all the white noise that didn't mean anything to me. Nobody, you know. So every now and then I'll post a picture of my daughter and suddenly people will want to talk, but I tweet every day and, you know, whatever. But like the posting of the links, and my theory about Twitter is they made it possible to click like on things so that people stopped and then people stopped talking to each other. You could click like, oh, I saw Brad's post, click like, but I don't want to talk to Brad. Every time I see something Brad says and I replied to it, I got stuck into some 2-hour conversation with some guy that I just wanted to say, hey, I see you, go away. And that's how I am with Brad. But but now you can just click like, and you're like, it's like, I don't, you know, people see that like thing go off and they're like, oh, something. But I actually miss engaging with people on Twitter. It was great for that. I
agree.
And
let me be clear, too. These are not order of my favorites, for sure.
Yeah.
Instagram, because of the nature of my job, I spend a lot of time on Facebook, but I prefer Instagram as a social media platform. I think for all the reasons you're saying, I do think it's kind of the purest platform that also a lot of people use and doesn't feel age specific. Like Snapchat just feels weird to me and so forth. And actually I'm beginning to like Twitter more and more as well, because at the very least it's pure in the sense of a broadcast platform. You have one account and you say the thing. Facebook, the reason why it's so successful, just statistically, is because there's so many varied things, and Facebook works to show content that it thinks its users are going to like. So if you can build the engagement, and that looks different in a bunch of different ways, and you can have the page, like in other words, if you can build up the strategy, it's a marketer's dream. And crowdfunding being a marketing game, you can kind of see why there's a connection there. But for most of us right-brained artist people, I always tell people, like, I get it. I know it can feel false, and it can feel like a big tedious pain in the ass. So a big chunk of my training is like, okay, but if you know you got to use it, you can either hate it the whole time, right, which is, make yourself miserable, or you can learn how to embrace it for what it is, accept it as just another tool in the toolbox, and get good at it so that at least you feel like you've got some integrity while using it. Yeah. And I think that's been key to the success of my clients.
In the last year or two, I have warmed back up to Facebook because of exactly what you just said. It actually does work. If you do it right. And I've seen little snippets of things where, oh shit, that worked.
Yeah, we've done a few
and
things.
I was like
right.
surprised. I was like, oh. And then I caught myself finding just a little sliver of joy and Facebook were in the same sentence, and I was like, what the hell's happening with me? What? Who am I? But yeah. I don't post there personally a lot, but we have a podcast page and stuff, and of course I do post there and interact with people, but I warmed up to it a lot. There's a long time where I was just like not a Facebook person. Yeah.
There's a reason why groups are making a big comeback. Groups were kind of dead for a while on Facebook, and they're sort of coming back because there's that authentic exchange that's happening, where people are coming together over a common interest or whatever. And so I've seen a huge influx. It's why my free, I'm going to do a little plug here. I've got a group called Hacking Kickstarter, which is, I don't allow spam. I don't talk about my own stuff. I don't talk about, I don't let other people post their campaigns, but I put a lot of training on there, and I've been trying to build this up as a place where myself, my clients that have been successful, and then people who want to learn about crowdfunding can come and just talk about film finances. And the more I stay away from any sort of self promo or letting this be a promotional space, and it just really fostering discussion and engagement, the bigger that audience has grown. Yeah, and that's there's parallels for that in all of these in podcast world and film world. I think one reason why our sci-fi was so successful is I found a subreddit called Space Porn, which is basically pretty pictures of things in space. And that was half of my posting and marketing, was just like, behold the glory that is our universe, Outpost. And I would just like slap our logo on it.
Right there in, you said Reddit or Tumblr? Where was it?
Yeah, this was a subreddit called Space Porn.
So you would post in there, or you would grab subreddits and post those to your Facebook. Yeah.
Posted on Facebook, and I would just put our logo on it and our website, and that was half of our posting, and people would just be like, oh my god, that's beautiful, and then click. Yeah.
So you said there was a three-phase thing. You made it through two, I think, without us.
Sure. So the first thing is having a marketing plan. Right. Understanding the scope of those numbers. Basically, whatever you want to raise times 10. So 10,000, you got to reach 100,000 people. Okay. 50,000, you need to reach 500,000 people. Okay. This is one reason why $100,000 raises, which a lot of people will reach out to me for, they're totally doable. But you're reaching 1 million people, and that's why there's a 0.2% success rate according to Kickstarter's statistics. So the second thing then is how you get this reach, having some sort of multiplier. For most people, that's having the organic social echo chamber that is a team, and then also maybe a couple $100 worth of ad money. If I have a client who has more than that, it becomes sort of custom. Well, what do we want to do with it? But that's rare. So then the last piece is prep time. I mean, just like a film is made in its pre-production period, nobody shows up on set going, what are we doing today, and how are we going to do it? It's the same thing with crowdfunding. So many people show up. They're like, okay, I made my video and my rewards on my page, and it's awesome, and I have a cool idea, and so I'm just going to throw it up there. Now I'm going to Google, how do I get people to see my crowdfunding page? Yeah. And all of that job has to happen beforehand. It's not magic special stuff. It's literally email, social media, and some direct messaging. Mm-hmm. That's like my clients have like a little daily checklist. That's all they're doing. But they spend 3 months building up the audience, prepping, getting Facebook to like them, learning how to write a good email so you're not blind carbon copy, hey, friendsing your contacts. Which, if you can't tell so far, because I think I've said it like 8 times, it's like a huge pet peeve. So like all that time ahead of time is so that by the time you get to just like a set, you get to set, you know what you're shooting. Sure, stuff hits the fan, good and bad. There are surprises, but you can weather that storm because you've done your pre-production appropriately. So that's kind of that.
Yeah, I have to say, but by the time we were done at the end of our crowdfund, then we had everything in place. I mean, I found myself thinking, if we had all this stuff before, I think we could have done a lot better. Yeah, and
we even gave ourselves, I think it was 3 months. I think it was 3 months out. We started concentrating on stuff and compiling. And there were some things that just ended up not falling into place until after.
A lot of it was ignorance, but ignorance on my part, because we didn't even know about.
I
just recently learned. I know you agree. I just recently learned how to use MailChimp really well, and now I realize, all that stuff that was so hard for us at the time, I could have automated and done so easy.
But the thing about places like Seed and Spark, I don't know how Kickstarter does it these days, because it's been a while since I've even used Kickstarter. But Seed and Spark has its own internal messaging thing. You message. So do you have? So.
By the way, we need to get to the point where we ask him how people can get his help and stuff.
No, I know. Why are you telling me how to do this? This is our 72nd episode.
I love it. I'm number 72. Sweet.
Yeah. So, thanks for the help, Brad. Finally, on episode 72, Brad had input on how this is done.
Well, I sort of want to skip to, okay, what would it cost for us to get you to help us?
No, so okay, so that's your three. You said that's the 3 things you like.
Yeah, my process is I have a free consultation with potential clients. I don't do a sales close at the end. It's basically, here's what you have to know before you can even decide whether or not you want to hire me. Is you're going to have to reach a couple 100,000 people. You're going to have to build a team, and I'll show you how to do these things, but you're going to have to build a team, and it's going to take you 3 months of prep. And so if you can't give me those 3 things, I will not be able to help you.
Yeah. Well, that's encouraging to hear, because I know, and we've talked about this a few times with other guests, is like, I know that there are people out there that would take a filmmaker's money and then say, well, you didn't do the things I needed you to do, so I'm like, you know what I mean? So
most of my fees on the back end as well, so I need you to make your money, or I don't really get paid very much.
Right. Well, that's good to know, because it's good to hear, because a lot of times you pay a client, somebody will ask for your money, and then it's like, is this person they've got no skin in the game?
We did that a couple times. We got a couple of companies that said, we'll get you numbers or likes or whatever. Yeah. So we tried it. It was a small amount of money, but then ultimately we realized, that was a waste.
Yeah, it's a waste. Yeah. It's not real. I don't care if I would rather interact with 5 real people than have 1,000 fake whatever on my thing,
Agreed.
So here we are. We're a couple of filmmakers. We don't have a project. Well, there's always a project. You know what that's like. There's always a project. But we don't have anything that we're really prepping to shoot or raise money for right now. What should somebody like us be doing now?
Great question.
On a daily practice, you exercise, you eat right, you meditate, you do this thing on Facebook or Twitter, so that when it's time to go, is go. In fact, we do have 2 podcasts. We could be doing a lot of this stuff.
So basically what you're saying is what could we do now because we want to build the email list and we want to be building our audience even while we're in the off season. Yeah. So what kind of tips can you give?
Oh my gosh, great question. Okay. So first off, there's a book out there by a guy named Brendan Kane. I get no kickback for this, called 1 Million Followers. And the kind of story behind the book is that this guy actually, weirdly enough, although he doesn't really talk about it much, was a filmmaker, came out to LA, and like me, could not wait tables and sucked at that. So he went and got a marketing job and found him. Oh my gosh, I'm the worst waiter in the world.
Before you go, you're going to tell the waiting table story, because it seems like there's some trauma in there somewhere.
Oh, there is some legit trauma. Outback Steakhouse and I have beef.
They both have beef.
They have beef.
There we go. So this guy, long story short, he ended up managing a lot of social media campaigns for big names: Katie Couric, Taylor Swift, big names. And about a year ago, he was like, I wonder if I could take these techniques and do it for the average Joe, if it would work. Hey, I'm an average Joe. So he built up a social media following of about 1 million organic followers in 30 days.
Nice.
So it's a good sort of primer and entrance into the world of hey, you could build an audience too. And I think it's a good starting point for a lot of people. Some more specifically practical tips. I've got 2. One is, there is an excellent service. I've yet to find one better, although, frankly, I think I don't like the company, but their service is awesome. It's called getcrowdster.com. That's Crowdster with a K, getcrowdster.com. They have a Twitter marketing service that what's the easiest way to explain it? Basically, you input some hashtags and some subjects that you feel you need to be talking about. Hashtag podcast or hashtag support indie film or something like that. And they automate following and unfollowing and messaging these people, and you could set it up so it isn't spammy. Because Twitter has a culture of follow back, hashtag follow back. What we do is I have it set up so sci-fi. Every time someone uses the hashtag sci-fi, my sci-fi film follows that person. And we have about a 20% follow back rate. And after 3 days, if somebody doesn't follow us back, we unfollow them. So we are following a lot of people, but they're people who are talking about what we're interested in, and they're following us because we're a sci-fi film. So I've been doing that for 8 months. We went from 4,000 followers to 20,000 followers.
Nice. I have to say that does work. I did that for a couple of months just to learn Twitter as a test. I was able to get thousands of followers just by doing that, but you got to do it every day.
Yeah, so what I like about Crowdster, frankly, is that you pay them for them to automate it. I mean, you got to set it up and you got to manage it and that kind of stuff. You can also do this manually.
I love that idea, the automated part.
And what and this is pretty universally, my clients, every once in a while somebody struggles and maybe they got to look at their hashtags and I got to work with them. But generally speaking, usually there's an initial surge and then it's like clockwork, 1,000 followers a month. We get probably an interview request or a podcast interview request once every 2 weeks. Hey, we saw your trailer. It looks great. Can we have you on Sci-Fi Friendly Fun People?
Sci-Fi Friendly Fun People. That's my next podcast.
That's
Sci-Fi
your next
Friendly
podcast.
Fun People.
You're welcome. Created by Justin Giddings. So I highly recommend that. It's so easy, and frankly, in my opinion, I think it's $47 a month. Worth it if a year later you have 20,000 active followers. Yeah. I have a little story because I get excited about this particular thing. So the week before the news broke at the Weinstein Company about the Weinsteins. I think all NDAs are off the table now. My partner and I, we had won. The list of winners.
I love the preface to that story. I think all NDAs are off the table now. So the week before Weinstein people, we
were finalists for that Lexus short film contest this previous year.
Right.
So we're sitting there and we're getting ready to do the final thing. In any case, maybe I will stay away from that specific point. But in any case, we were talking deals and we were signing paperwork, and the third question on their intake form, it was name, email, what is your social following?
Yeah.
Like the Weinstein Company, at the time, the most powerful, influential indie producers of all time, wanted to know how many Twitter followers I had. And I've booked gigs based off of Twitter followers. I mean, It's super important. Yes, this is why I love this question, is because please do this now and not when you think you have a reason to do it. Because if you can just put some time into it, it starts to build on itself. So that's the big Twitter thing that I would recommend. The quick strategy is have a pinned tweet that is either a picture or a video that is easily shareable. You can go to /outpost the film and see what we've got, for example. But yeah, so that people are talking about it, like it, and that thing will also get shared and retweeted, and then you get even more organic following. In Facebook, it's a bit more challenging. I have kind of a longer training, but the short version is be putting out content consistently, and if doable, daily. And the broad categories are content related to whatever it is that you do, okay, the podcast, whatever, and then content related to your audience's interests. So again, like we have a sci-fi, so we might put out still from the film, and the next day we put out the news that the Mars rover died, that kind of thing. Our people are into that, so they'll engage, they'll talk about it, and again, that teaches Facebook's algorithm that, like, yes, when Outpost the film posts something, you totally want to put it in front of people that have liked the page and share similar interests, because we have good content.
What about sorry, I want to interrupt you.
And then one more thing, and then that is that if you've got a budget for it, doing a Facebook likes campaign is a moderately inexpensive way to build up your likes. I generally Brendan talks about this in his book. There are reasons why you might want to do outside of the US. You've kind of got that quality versus quantity thing.
Yeah.
He talks about it in depth. Oh, I've actually literally got the book right here, which I realize your podcasters can't see.
Nice.
But, you got that quality quantity thing. If you're thinking crowdfunding, I would go for US or English-speaking countries, frankly, because they tend to do the most crowdfunding and accept it culturally. But if you're just building up the fan base, doing a likes campaign, you can get a like for as little as a penny if you're doing internationally. Even good, high quality, US based traffic, you can get that down to 20 to 50 cents.
Do you mean like Gigbucks or Fiverr or something like that, or?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah. Do not buy followers. Terrible idea.
Okay.
I mean, actually running an ad in Facebook. They have a special type called a likes ad, where the purpose is get likes.
Yeah.
And I recommend short, simple, with a video. Like if you've got a trailer, or maybe you grab a video capture one time of one of your podcasts or something. We need keeping it short and simple. Yeah, right. And then doing I'll do Outpost. A thrilling adventure, a romance, and epic VFX, ... and explosions. Like our page for updates and cool stuff.
Yeah.
And then the trailer, right? Something short, sweet, and an easy decision for them to hit like.
Yeah.
Then when you're putting out that daily content, some of those likes are going to start engaging you, and it just becomes this thing that builds over time. You put out content that engages your people, it's related to your project or their interests, and then you get more people. Just kind of do that over and over and over.
I will say that does work a little bit, because when we first were doing movieisms, I was doing that every day, putting up one or two related to movies. And we were getting some hits and some engagement. That was some of the Facebook thing that...
Again, I'm so glad you're here to validate what the expert is saying.
No,
with your own personal... I'm just kidding. But, so, okay, back to Twitter, I guess, or Instagram or wherever for just a second. So, I'm a filmmaker. I have all kinds of things that I have worked on and want to work on. The frustrating thing for me is... Well, we got a new film project. Now we need a new fucking Twitter account, and I feel like there's no way for me to do a good job on all of those things every day. So I've naturally gravitated to, the Beckemeyer profile. That's where I want to concentrate all of that. And then today is a movie as I'm supposed. Today's a film Reverie, or I have a short film we just finished called Twin, and we've got our feature film, and we got other projects. It's like, is it best to do, like have mentioned your short film's Twitter account a bunch of times? So I'm asking you, you prefer like
every new thing has its own page, or what?
So it can kind of vary from like if I'm talking with a client, from client to client, but kind of broadly speaking, at the beginning, I usually recommend wherever your focus and energy is going to be over the next, significant chunk of time, whatever that is, spend the resources there, spend the energy and the focus there. So like Outpost has been on its festival run. It's about ready to get released. That's where a lot of our energy is going there. It does, at a certain point, you and or one's company really becomes the brand, and you're building that up. Yeah. So I've got a couple of clients who've, again, done a couple things, have a couple of Facebook pages, and are beginning to realize that it's like them that needs to build up their specific targeted audience. Yeah. It can be, it can be a bit challenging to know when that moment is. Mm-hmm. But there definitely comes a moment where the pull of the project that you might have created a page or Twitter profile before, the energy spent there isn't going to give you as high a return as the energy spent on one's own personal audience and voice, where people have bought into you specifically. Right. Because that's actually the magic space. Yeah. I've got a few clients that have done, I always think your second campaign is your hardest. You've got the first one, and you know that experience we talked about. Yeah, you've got your first one, people want to help you. The second one, you really have to convince them why they ought to. But once you've gotten through that, I've had a lot of clients who've had 5, 6, 7, 10 campaigns successfully, because they've actually found their audience and their tribe, and like once every year or so, hey, I'm willing to plop down $50 to see Justin's next movie. Yeah. And that audience builds. I've got a client right now in the gaming space. It's a bit of a unfair out. Well, no, it's not. So he's done like 5 campaigns, all like $5,000 for these tabletop RPG like D&D campaigns, and he would struggle to raise like 5 to 10K. But he kept doing them, and he started to build a loyal core audience that at least he knew he could always get 5 to 10K. Yeah. But we hooked up. He's got a campaign that ended a couple hours ago, somewhere around $200,000. Oh. And
that's awesome. And that's good. Yeah, because
he did what you asked about, Brad, which was like he's been building this audience, and it's small. He does a Twitch stream. He's got 50 people on it, but they're loyal people. And so when the time finally came to do the big thing, and he applied my marketing techniques, he still had that loyal core ready to rock and roll. So that is kind of the ultimate ideal, is to build up sort of the people who like Becca Meyer the most, like these, those people. But it can take a while to get there. So in the meantime, maybe you want to focus on a project or a specific page. Yeah. If you can do the bandwidth and do both, sure, great, fine. But if you have to choose one,
I found that I'm naturally going to do both, because my own Twitter, like I actually try to stay active, and I have like a soft spot in my heart for Twitter, because I met one of my absolute best friends in the planet on Twitter. He's in LA. He's composed every serious film I've done in the last 10 years. He's composed the music for it. I crashed on his couch when I went to LA for the first time to visit. My friend was getting married. I was crashing on his couch. Like he was like my BFF for like 7 years before we even met in person. That sort of thing. Awesome. And so Twitter is like the thing for me, but that's way back before Twitter was like I said, the white noise commercial thing. It's like it's
commercialized.
Yeah. So I don't know how much more time you have, but I have a couple.
I'm pretty good.
You're good? Okay. Yeah. Good. We can talk to him for another 2 more hours. He said he was good, Brett. No, just kidding. So the general consensus when I talk to filmmakers, in fact, it has been a long time since anyone's approached me on Twitter, Facebook, anything. Here's my crowdfund, Becca Meyer. Here's my crowdfund. I feel like there's a growing, like, you can't really do the crowdfund thing unless you are like a Zach Braff, who is the famous one, and the guy who did the show that was on, it has oh my god,
Veronica Mars,
right, like those like magic, like that is when crowdfunding stopped being like as homegrown feeling for a lot of people, and where people started thinking, it's It's just a bunch of like celebrities doing their thing now, and like the people like me, whatever, just sort of weren't able to get the attention that they needed to do that stuff anymore. Which I don't necessarily believe, because I do believe that if you do it right, it works. But the general consensus, I think, from filmmakers is, I just don't know if I can do that again, because it's hard and it doesn't always work, and there's only so many people I can get my thing in front of, and blah, blah, blah. What do you tell the cynic?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man,
you guys are new favorite podcast. Sorry, everybody else. Can a normal regular everyday filmmaker crowdfund? Okay. So, I'm gonna use some of my own success as a sort of light there. So sorry if it seems self-serving, but so last June and July, June and July, I had 12 or 13 clients at the time, and they raised $723,000 among them in this 60-day time frame.
How many clients?
I think 12, something. I've got a screenshot somewhere that I use as an ad, but
of course, that sounds like a good like screen grab to use for an ad.
Yeah, right.
12 clients, like almost $750,000. Okay.
One of them was like a $275K campaign, but even if you take that off the table, right, you're looking at still about 300 something thousand, 350 something like that raised. Yeah. Or I guess 4, something like that. Yeah. Again, can't do math. Failed miserably.
It's more like 500,000, right?
Yeah. But the reason I bring that up is because like none of those people were celebrities. None of them dropped thousands of dollars on advertising. None of them even had projects that were like viral, compelling, this movie has to see the light of the world type campaigns. It was, so I guess the first thing I would say to a cynic is that there is a way, and I didn't, none of them burned bridges. They all one of them just went to Slam Dance. None of them alienated their network or anything like that. So the reason why there's so much cynicism is because we've all had so many experiences of seeing people do it poorly, or ourselves doing it poorly, right? Maybe the whole answer to your guys' struggles was you just did it wrong.
Yeah,
and you don't.
I'm sure
you don't know.
Sure, we didn't do it all right. I'm also sure that we just didn't do enough of the right stuff. Like the way we did it wrong was probably not by covering all the bases.
And also, we hate the process.
Yeah, you keep saying we when you say stuff like that, but
we hate marketing and hey, everybody.
You keep saying that. I don't hate it. I'm just not very good at it.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's the energy you put out into the universe, Brad. Self-fulfilling prophecy.
And to a point that is kind of true in the sense of that, like, when a client comes on board with me, the first thing I tell them is like, look, you're probably hiring me so I can show you what to do. That's not the hard part. What you're actually hiring for more, and I know this and you don't know this yet, is you're hiring me to be the guy that talks you off the ledge when you're in week 2 and nobody gives an S. I don't know if we can cuss here. Nobody cares.
Say shit, fuck, damn.
Oh, good. Week 2, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares.
I like that I've been cursing to him all this whole hour, and he still is like trying to be polite. It's like, no, you can curse.
Oh, I have the mouth of a sailor, so
do I. You're welcome. Welcome.
Out this entire last part. But like, there's so. What I really come on board is the mental and the mindset stuff, because the math works. So if you get X amount of people, you're going to get a certain percentage. Yeah. And I'll just generally show people how they can hit that math. But really, it's a mind game as well. And so to the cynic, you just have to embrace the fact that this is based out of process, not result. You have zero control over the result. You only have control over the process. And if you can embrace that, and also embrace the fact that you might even do the process perfectly and still not be enough sometimes. You can go to the gym every day and then get hit by a car. You know what I mean? Something could sideswipe you that you didn't see.
Why even try?
But if somebody can embrace that, there is a path to doing this. and I'm not the only one, and there are plenty of people who are successful without coaches as well. Yeah. Obviously, it's easy to just hire somebody who's done it a bunch of times and can tell you what to do thing. But there is a path out there, and it takes a measure of just courage to look at it and be like, man, I know how much this can suck, but I'm gonna figure out how to make it.
But it does not matter how, like, making a movie sucks. I love it. It's my favorite thing on the earth to do, but it sucks. Some days are terrible. But the thing is, it's when you're done, you're so happy that you did it.
The worst days are the best worst days.
Yeah. One of the
I'm glad you brought that up. My clients, one of the things I ask for and offer a discount for is a testimonial video when they're all done. And a recurring theme is, this changed my life.
Yeah.
This changed my life. Something about learning how to articulate your vision in such a way that people want to enthusiastically support you. You know, give you $50 to $100 for a short film they're going to see on Vimeo for free in like 6 months. Learning how to do that.
When you put it like that.
Right?
Well, when you put it like that, yeah.
You know, and so like for them to get that enthusiastic and be supportive and get 500 or 1,000 people like that, that's a skill set every creative needs to know and learn anyway, is how do I get, whether it's a room full of studio execs or 1,000 people, I got to figure out a way to get people excited about this so much that they want to give me money, whether it's $50 or $50 million. Yeah, I lost my train of thought there. So there was like something brilliant at the end.
You were saying that because what I said was filmmaking sucks, even though I love it.
Yeah,
making a movie is hard. Like, there's no such thing as easy.
Right.
In fact, Martin Scorsese says there's no such thing as easy, and he said easy is hard.
Yeah,
it's hard to make it look easy.
And it's the same thing about crowdfunding. It is an extraordinarily challenging thing that is going to stretch your comfort zone. I don't care if you're some gregarious salesperson marketing whiz. Yeah. In fact, sometimes those are the hardest clients for me. It's going to stretch your comfort zone, but on the other end of it, when you've done it with integrity, when you feel like you gave it your all and that what you were doing was something that was, again, positive and you weren't bugging people and all that kind of stuff, success or no, you come out the other end of it and go, wow, I'm different now. I have a strength and a voice in a way that a lot of my clients maybe just didn't know they had yet. And it's scary. Just like making a movie. You get done with that and you go, wow, that was exhausting. I was up all night. Everybody was mad at each other. We lost all this. I had somebody embezzle $20,000 out of the short film, sci-fi. And it's
holy
like
shit.
And it took us 4 years to finish it because of that. And now it's done, and I couldn't be proud.
Day. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's a whole story there.
Yeah. So
I want to ask. So everyone's listened, and they're curious, like I am. All right. So I think I want your help, or I'm listening, and I want to know what can I do, and then I guess how much and what's the process? What do I get out of it, or what do you do?
Yeah. So if somebody wants to just kind of dip their toes in this world, I've got a Facebook group. I mentioned it earlier, called Hacking Kickstarter. I don't allow promos of other people's stuff, and I don't really promo my stuff, but naturally it's like, hey, Justin, Kickstarter Guy here. Here's a training on how to do whatever. Right. So you can get in there, and I've got lots of videos, lots of downloads. When you enter the group, I ask that you follow the rules, and if you want, I can even email you a 15-page, really pretty PDF that sort of breaks down those 3 core components more in depth. Right. So that's the toe dippage. If somebody really toe dippage. The toe dippage. If somebody's wanting to raise funds in that 20 to 50K range, the best way to get a hold of me is through my website, thekickstarterguy.com. Mm-hmm. I do Seed and Spark a lot and Kickstarter, some Indiegogo, but it's good branding. It's what people called me when they emailed me early on after I'd done my own campaigns.
Sometimes the universe tells you.
Yeah. I'm sure one day I'm going to get a cease and desist from Kickstarter going, hey, you need to stop using our name.
No, you need to stop using my name.
Right. You're welcome. I think that's why they let me get away with it, is because I, bring them $1 million a year.
Yeah, that's good.
So in any case, the kickstarterguy.com/free consultation. Mm-hmm. And what I do during that time is really break down the core components a little bit more in depth, and talk about the specifics of that person's campaign. And if I feel like there's a potential good fit at the very end, I go over the specifics of the coaching process and my rates and how that breaks down. But now those numbers now make more sense in sort of the context of what I'm actually going to do, the job that I'm going to be doing. I can say that most of my fee is on the back end for most of my campaigns, but I do have an upfront fee. The idea kind of being like, I'm going to be relying on a client to actually do this job, so I kind of need them to also have some buy-in.
Right. That makes
sense. But yeah, so I'm not trying to be coy. I email it all anyway, and I don't have automated follow-up. So what happens is it's like, here's my rate.
You don't have a price. You'd rather someone get a hold of you and then you give them a price?
Yeah, I don't change the price. It's just that without the context of what ends up being about a 45-minute to an hour breakdown of what they're going to do, it's just kind of a
He's
number
trying to
that
give them something for free before
he tells them how much money to raise so that I can.
Well,
I will also say this: I am less expensive than every single person I've found yet.
Yeah. Okay.
So for context, most people who do what I do are like $5,000 to $10,000 up front. I know somebody who does like 40 sessions for like $1,500 and some email support. I am way less than that, and end up working with you for about 4 months for at least 20 to 30 hours, and then I'm on call during the campaign. So, again, it's more just that the number doesn't make sense without the context of that specific
No,
consultation.
Perfect. Totally.
No one's going to be scared. It's not a crazy number.
What about? I have one more question for you that I was going to ask before he tried to,
I'm important too.
Before he tried to end the show.
Oh yeah, I am trying to do that.
What about and my daughter is sitting there going, you said, so content, like if somebody's making a drama with some difficult issues to watch, you know what I mean? It's like tough stuff to watch, like ugly material and stuff like that. Do you advise? What do you say? I know you don't.
How do you package that so it's not so?
How do you package it? Yeah, you know what I mean. I know it's different for everything, but how do you advise people? Do you have anything that's easier to? Do you have anything that's easier to put in front of people and say tap dance and go look at this shiny object? What if somebody's just like me, who's totally compelled to make tough things to watch? You know what I mean? Yeah. The categories still remain of sort of content related to the project, content related to the audience's interests. So I've had these. I've had films where the filmmaker had somebody, suicide in their lives, and they're making, a film about mental health or something like that. And of course, there's obviously sort of the specifics of the story that can help inform this. But generally speaking, it comes back to engagement. What's that why? That deep reason that this filmmaker wants to make this film, and it's probably to heal a wound. So, I might recommend, what are the videos that have already gone viral about, suicide prevention, or a feel-good sort of mental health story about a homeless person, being reached out by somebody and kind of coming up in the world. There's a lot of content out there that speaks to sort of the triumph of the human spirit, if you will, that people can bring some happiness and joy into people's lives, while at the same time creating that sort of awareness of hey, I don't think we're ever going to go viral like this, but I sure hope my short film can speak to some of my own personal experiences in a way that if even just one person is positively affected, I think I'd be happy.
So are you?
And now you've got to tie in, and that's authentic. That's not gross.
Yeah.
Right. That's not salesy. That's why you're making the movie about the suicide and the mental health. Right.
So basically, the answer is you're saying research other people who are close, even that have done what that are in the area. Research he's saying find a video that is, or videos that are successful. So you got to research the topic and find what's working. And I guess you make something that's like that.
Yeah, this particular client I'm thinking of, one of the pieces we found was there's this beautiful superhero, Superman one-panel comic about suicide, where this woman's on a ledge and Superman kind of flies up there and he could totally grab her. And all the cops are like, grab her, grab her, grab her. And she says, don't grab me. This is my choice. I have to go through this. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but like, you can't just take this away from me. And he goes, okay, I'll be right here. And each panel gets progressively darker. Superman is literally just being with her for like, as day turns to night. And then, I think she finally, kind of comes out of it. I don't really remember how it ended, but the sort of the impact of seeing somebody who could just make it all better and is this God figure and could just save her so she doesn't die, but also respects the pain that she's going through to allow her to actually work through it in real time, had a tremendous impact on that audience. And that image went viral and all that kind of stuff. And so, again, you can co-opt a bit, other media and viral videos and content that can speak to, again, to sort of the original purpose of the project. I mean, honestly, this is why I love doing this. This is where I get really excited. Yeah. So many of my clients are people of color or some sort of marginalized group where Hollywood is not being like, hey, great, we'll make your thing. And they can find their own audience, they can find their tribe, they can find their people, and speak to the experiences in a way that is unique to them. I had a client who made a documentary about veganism in the African American community compared to sort of what does that traditional soul food diet, what is the history? What does it represent? I could have never made that movie. It's not my story in any way, but I got to be a part of something that has had a tremendous run, awesome. Connecting, food deserts and all that kind of stuff. I won't get into it and all that, but that is why I think crowdfunding can change your life, and why a lot of my clients say that is for that reason. Is it can be the platform that you find that audience, you get them excited, they become a part of what makes that successful, and you can speak to the deep, dark, harsh. Again, we're the shamans, right? Yeah. The shamans do the initiation ceremonies and drink the ayahuasca, but they also cover the funerals and the rites of dead and of the dead and the dark, heavy stuff.
I mean, we haven't even hired you yet, and you've already talked me off the ledge 2 or 3 times on this one. So I appreciate the time you spent talking with us.
Oh, my pleasure.
Right. So now, just as we're ending,
how many more questions are you going to ask?
No, it's not a question. I'm saying, like, the book you recommended, and I think you gave us a website.
So 1 million followers. Yeah. I'm sorry. Do you want me to repeat it or?
No. What I was gonna say is I'm getting that is that's like you're telling us, everyone that's listening, that's the homework you'd like everyone to do before coming to you.
Yeah. So there's a couple of, actually, interestingly enough, in the pinned post on that Hacking Kickstarter group, I have a list of books that I think are really, really good. Nice. Okay. I think The Alchemist is good if you're into some of that woo-woo stuff. There's some good business and marketing books out there. The War of Art, 10X by Grant Cardone, which is a hyper salesy book, but at the same time sort of is like, look, if you want to be successful, you got to 10X your effort.
I just heard about that book a couple weeks ago. That you're like the second or third time I've heard it, so I'm gonna have to put it on my list now.
Yeah. And again, like his voice is not my cup of tea, but if again, kind of like Facebook too, it may not be your cup of tea.
That's exactly what other people have said. I don't really know. I like the guy, but his book makes a lot of sense.
The information makes a lot of sense. Sometimes I'll send it to clients as like a onboarding gift. And I'm like, you're probably going to hate this. Try not to, and it could change your life.
Cool.
I feel like even if you weren't crowdfunding, if you just, went through the process with him, you could learn what you need to just to enhance.
The thing is, we're creative people. It's audience building in general.
But it's tough love. He's telling us we need to do that stuff we don't want to do anyway. So I feel like we just got to start doing the hard work.
You keep saying we. I say I want to do it. I'm not very good at it. You keep saying we hate. We don't like to do this. I don't feel confident to do it.
Exactly.
I don't hate
we
doing
avoid it. Is that that's more accurate? We avoid it.
I mean,
okay.
Okay, I'm gonna avoid talking to you more by ending this podcast right now.
So give us the
oh
link.
shit! You want to talk some more? Jesus.
What's the group? Hacking
Kickstarter. You could just go to Facebook and search for the group.
Okay.
And then my website is thekickstarterguy.com.
All right.
/ free consultation.
And any other social medias you want for everyone to know how to get a hold of you? Or...
Yes, / Justin Giddings will do you on Twitter and Facebook, and then my film / Outpost the film.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Coming out in a week or two, probably next month or two. Nice,
that's awesome. Well, good luck. Well, congratulations since you had a festival run, but also good luck with putting it out there.
It's kind of like crowdfunding. It's going to be a big launch, and I have to coordinate it like a campaign, and it's going to be hard, exhausting, and then also rewarding. So I'm going to be in the same boat as many of you guys listening soon enough.
All right. Well, good luck with that. If you want to contact us, people listening to this hour and a half long podcast, at this hour and a half long conversation we had with Kickstarter Guy, I am Beckemeyer on Twitter and Instagram. He's Balding Ewok, and and our podcast. If you want to send us an email, is filmreveriepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for enlightening us. I was going to say illuminating us, but enlightening us and showing us the way. You're like the shaman of crowdfunding.
I'm dressed like the shaman.
You are.
I actually guys can't see it, but I have my poncho of power, my power poncho.
Is there a picture of you with the poncho? Because I want to put that on the thumbnail.
I'll take the hair, and then I'll take a screenshot, and then we'll share it.
All right. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, and good luck. We'll talk to you soon.
Good, you guys. Thank you so much.
All right. See ya. Film Reverie Podcast is a production of Super Mega Ultra Entertainment and is produced by Michael Beckemeyer and Bradley Kingston. If you're enjoying this podcast, please be sure to leave us a 5-star review in iTunes. And visit filmreverie.com to listen to past episodes, and be sure to click like or subscribe wherever you find us. That's it for this time. We'll see you again next week with another episode of Film Reverie.